Start with something good.
Yeah, let's start with something good.
Talanoa Hufanga.
What's your revelation on the Niner D?
My revelation is that Talanoa Hufanga matters to this team. Maybe we should have known that already. Like, he's an all-pro safety. A lot of people kind of go back and act like he didn't deserve it that year. He makes plays in the run game, in the pass game. He's a playmaker. And I looked it up. He played 10 games last year. He missed 10 games. Niners played 20 games, including the playoffs. In the 10 games he played, the defense gave up 15.7 points per game. In the 10 games he didn't play, the defense gave up 21.8 points per game. That's a touchdown. He's a really important player. He's good against the run. He's good against the pass. They're getting him back. Assuming he makes a full recovery like most NFL players do from this injury, it's a big addition to their defense.
I wouldn't push back and disagree, but I guess I would throw this out. Is he really good, or are the guys behind him really bad? Like they always say next man up, but that's kind of a saying. You're only as good as how good that next guy who's next up is. I just kind of felt like they were paper thin at safety. Gibson can't cover at all. I mean, I think Gibson's just a high percentage interceptor who's not good in coverage and not particularly good against the run. And Hufanga, you take him out, then you had a rookie in Jair Brown getting more time. And I think Hufanga's really, really good against the run as far as identifying when it is a run. I mean, look at his anticipation, the way he attacked the mesh point on all those handoffs, especially early on. So I think he's really good, but I think that's as much about the guys that came on after him are really not good.
I think he's one of the best strong safeties in the league. And I agree that the guys after him aren't that good, but the guy after him was Jair Brown, who to me plays more like a free safety. He doesn't really make as many plays in the backfield, but he does make plays in coverage. He makes a lot of plays in coverage. He has more range than Talanoa Hufanga. I know they're built similarly and they ran similar 40 times, but I think Jair Brown is going to be the free safety, and Talanoa Hufanga is the strong safety this team was missing last year. Like, they were really bad against the run down the stretch. They really struggled against the run against Detroit in the NFC Championship game, and probably, I mean, they easily could have lost that game because of that. So
only thing I would amend to that is I thought they were horrible against the run all year. I asked Shanahan, you were sitting right next to me right at the end of the preseason. I'm like, what about the run D? And he's like, well, if it was based on what we looked like in the preseason against the Raiders and the Chargers and the Broncos, he's like, yeah, I'd be with you. But you know what? We got a pretty good track record here of being good against the run. But that's when you had Jimmy Ward and Emmanuel Mosley and Samson Ebukam and Azeez Al-Shaair. You know what I mean? And it's like they depleted their depth to go get Hargrave, and they got rid of like 5 guys that were all pretty good against the run on all 3 levels of their defense to make room for the pass rushing Hargrave. And then Hargrave gave them marginal pass rush, and they were a sieve. I mean, they got pushed around. I mean, I agree with you. They were worse down the stretch, but they were bad in the preseason. And if you go back and look at them, Grant, I don't even think they were really good against the run ever last year. I just think that they got so many points in that Pittsburgh game. Pittsburgh stopped running. Arizona stopped running. They got Dallas stopped running. At all these teams stopped running at halftime. But if anybody who actually committed to the run, like Cleveland did, like Minnesota did, like some of these other teams did, there was no resistance. No resistance.
Yeah, and I think a big issue with the reason for that was the front seven. The front seven was pretty soft last year. And then once Talanoa Hufanga went down, the Niners were playing a couple free safeties at safety. And the whole defense was pretty soft against the run at that point. So with Hufanga, it's going to be interesting. This is a contract year for him. No one's talking about his extension or what he's going to be asking for after this year. If he has another season in 2024 like he had in 2022, he's going to be able to ask for up to $20 million a year. He's going to be in the Minkah Fitzpatrick range because he fills up a stat sheet like Minkah Fitzpatrick does. Forced fumbles, sacks, tackles, pass defense, interceptions. Like, he's consistent with that stuff.
What do you make of the whispers that he was going to be traded this offseason? And is he going to be back for week 1?
I don't know. I would assume he'll be back for week 1. And what I make of that is the Niners are concerned about whether they can afford him. I mean, if they're going to give all this money to Brandon Ayuk and Brock Purdy, can they afford to have an all-pro safety? It's an expensive player. They don't typically spend on that position. So maybe the Niners felt that they could replace him, but Jair Brown is not Talanoa Hufanga. Hufanga really, when they had him healthy, they were the number 1 defense in the league. And when he was out, they definitely were not. So, hey, maybe I'm making too much of his impact, but I think people aren't making enough of his impact. We'll find out.
No, I mean, I love him as a player too. He's better closer to the line than he is down the field.
Agreed.
But if you, as long as he doesn't have to defend a ton of passes down the field, we did see him rise up in that Green Bay game in Green Bay and made a big play on the deep ball late in that game, the playoff game against Rodgers. So we know it's in there, but the question I would have is, I know they love their new safety, Malik Mustafa, but is Mustafa, do they see him as a free safety or do they see him as a strong safety?
I think
it's really easy. It seems like it's really easy to find guys who are, if you play a lot of cover 3, it's easy to find the guy that's in the box safety. It's hard as heck to find the Earl Thomas, the guy who's going to cover the field. And I wonder is it Malik Mustafa? Is it maybe Renardo Green? Is it somebody we're not thinking of? I don't know, but that free safety spot.
Instead, though, Cam Chancellor was really important to that defense. He was great. He was great. They never really replaced him. You know who's a big Talanoa Hufanga guy?
Who's that?
Not just Troy Polamalu. Ronnie Lott.
Well, D'Amico loved him. Remember all those times we were out there at practice,
D'Amico?
And him and D'Amico would be out there early, like working on hand placement and just little.
But I'm telling you, Ronnie Lott is a big Talanoa Hufanga guy. Maybe it's because they both went to USC.
That could be it.
Yeah, I mean, he said to someone who worked at, I believe, Channel 4, like, look at the difference in the defense when they had him and when they didn't. Like, look at how many more touchdowns they gave up when they didn't have him. Anyway, that's a former USC DB talking about a current Niners USC DB. I just putting it out there. Ronnie Lott.
Well, and here's the thing. Hufanga didn't run a good 40 time, which is why he fell to the 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? At safety, it matters a whole lot less because it's all about, are you flowing towards the ball? It's like if you could have 4.3 speed, but if you don't have instincts, you're Tarvarius Moore. Remember Tarvarius Moore in that Pittsburgh game a few years ago where it was just like a little sideline route to Juju Smith-Schuster, and he went for a touchdown because Moore took a bad angle. Moore was tall, long, fast, athletic, but no instincts. Hufanga's the opposite. He doesn't have quite